How are you, beautiful? And meet my new best friend, Lauren Barry, over here, my co-host of the
Lauren
radio
Barry,
show.
it's a pleasure to meet you. How
It
are you
is.
doing?
It's a pleasure to meet you. I even said to Nick yesterday, I said, look, if you want me to sit this one out, you want to have a good catch up with your old mate. And Nick goes, absolutely not. He's like, my two friends are meeting.
Yes.
And I'm
Dude,
so
right
glad.
on, man. I honestly, it's an honor. I can't wait to get back down there, man. In January, I'm excited. It's gonna be crazy.
It's
Yeah.
coming up so fast. And the fact that you are playing an arena show in Australia is just, I think back to that tiny pub in London, however many years ago it was, and the fact that you're coming here to play to over 10,000 people in that arena. I know you're not
Yeah.
new to arenas, but there is something particularly special about playing an arena in Australia, right?
I think so. I think like what was insane is we had a little bit of an inkling because you know when you put on a tour and you get a sign up list, and I was like, oh. 60,000 people signed up to pre-sale in Australia. And we were like, wow, you know what I'm saying? So I think like it's always been a dream to play River Stage really. And then definitely the kudos in Sydney and the bowl in Melbourne's gonna be wild. So like just insane. And Adelaide, like wild. I think the furthest away I'll be from my mum to be playing arenas is pretty great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really special. And what a special year it's been, man. We were first meant to have a conversation about your album on my birthday, which was 6 months ago. And now I'm getting to talk to you 6 months later. So I'm glad we finally did it. But
Right on, baby.
just talk me through what this year has brought for you, because I know it's brought a lot of freedom and coming back to yourself, but it's also brought some
Yeah.
surprises too.
I really think when I made Idols, I was really trying to figure out who I'm going to be after this first iteration of what the world knows me as. You know, I think as an artist, you can kind of reaction in real time with the internet and everything is such a crazy pressure to evolve. You know, I think you have to do a drastic thing, which is shut the doors, alleviate opinion, go all in on red or black. You know what I mean? You got to be like, you got to pick if you want to do this in the way that you dreamed of doing it, you know. And I think I locked the doors and I went back to my hometown and I started this album that was probably the biggest risk ever. But I did it from a place that was so pure and truthful in the same way that when I was writing my first album, 21st Century, it was literally what I had to say. And for it to be received so well and for me to kind of, I don't know, have the eye of the mainstream, look up on it and then meet my heroes and get to know my heroes and lose one of my heroes has been such a wild year to kind of comprehend. But I feel more myself than I ever have, and I feel very limitless in terms of what I can create and what I can do next. So it's really sick.
You speak about your idols. Obviously, one of the most touching moments this year for a lot of us to witness was the performing of Changes, and you got to do that for Ozzy. How important was that? I mean, it was so soon before he died. We weren't across how unwell he was. That was such a beautiful thing. How much did that mean to you in that moment and then afterwards too?
I think the craziest thing about that moment is you love someone so hard from like 2 years old before you're even coherent to what music is. He was like Batman to me. You know what I mean? I was like naughty and I was crazy and I was out of the box, very young. And this guy, this character made me, for as long as I can remember, I was so inspired by his individuality and his fearlessness and ultimately his freedom. And then you cut forward to like 13 and you find Black Sabbath when you're going through like hormonal changes and testosterone and androgyny and everything you're trying to figure out. And this band solidify that. Cut forward another 10 years, I've become a successful rock musician, and I meet him for the first time, and we get on and we connect and we vibe, and I meet him on my video shoot, and then another 5 years go by that Sharon asked me to come and sing at his final gig, you know, and I think it was the biggest honor I could ever do, and then that blew up, and then me and him get to know each other on a personal level, and then he dies. And And it's been the most crazy thing to comprehend because I can never thank him enough. It's such a trip. Like I've loved him my whole life. I wrote an album called Idols, and then I got to kind of have felt my hero's arms around me, and that was almost a defining moment where I think turned a lot of people who hated me or didn't understand me or didn't really know me. They kind of gave me a chance and gave my world a chance and gave what I had to say a chance. You know, I've been very polarizing to people, I think, in the world. But I think I went there as a music fan, and I went there as someone who loved that band and loved that man, and kind of poured me as much as I could pour into that thing. And it was cool for people to I don't know, finally kind of go like, oh, whoa, maybe I should give this a go. I owe you know what I mean, I owe so much to him.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of Aussies fans sort of saw that moment and how he sort of almost passed the baton on to you in that moment too. And then they've gained this whole new respect for you. And I think it was just such a beautiful thing to witness from the outside. And it's so beautiful to hear you speak about him like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's cool is that show was so special because it's where 6 generations of rock musicians came together for like one dysfunctional Christmas dinner. You know what I'm saying? And we kind of came together to celebrate that. And I think there's always been there's been this reluctance of acceptance between the generations. The older generation is reluctant to accept the young generation of rock musician, and the younger generation is reluctant to accept the older generation's way of doing things. And I think kind of there's been this battle for years. I think that's why rock music hasn't really thrived. You know, I think a young generation has almost been ridiculed for referencing the past, which is what every rock musician of all time has ever done anyway. That's why our genre is so cool, because it started with Muddy Waters and the blues and Bo Diddley into the Rolling Stones, into the Beatles, and the Beatles into the Sex Pistols, into like the Cure, into Joy Division, Nirvana, Oasis, and then so on, so on, so on. I think there's been this like been ridiculed for the reference point. Whereas my favorite thing about like bands like Oasis, they were always like, yeah, man, we love the Beatles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think something that's been really buoying for me to say is having watched you from the start, where you did kind of come out pink socks, eyeliner, androgyny.
Yep.
You know, you were scary and polarizing to some people, which is why I think the initial fan base gravitated towards you, because we like that.
Yes.
We like things that scare people. But what has been extremely buoying is watching the way that the entire rock community has embraced you, particularly in the last year or two, and understood what you're doing. And I think when you returned with Hello Heaven Hello, hearing that and hearing that almost ode to great rock music of all of those generations, that really brought you into the kind of zeitgeist of everything. Because you've tried it all. You've done pop songs. You've done, you know, almost trappy songs.
What 100%. I think this is what I feel extremely lucky to have done and have been on a journey with and built with my community. Like, some artists come along and they're fully formulated.
Yep.
From the beginning. For me, since I was 18 years old, I have been figuring out who I am as a man, not just a musician. And I think that's why my community has become so tight, because there's this life element to it. There was been never any limitations. I've always been like, yeah, man, I'm going to try a bit of that. I'm going to try a bit of that. And I'm going to try a bit of that. I'm going to try a bit of that. And I think Idols, I kind of finally, like, I kind of hit 27. And I was like, the fundamental formula of the fundamental foundations of who I am as a human being have kind of settled. Obviously, I'm going to change a million times, as we all do. But this kind of the fundamental idea of what I believe I'm here for settled on this album more than ever. And I think it's been insane for people to gravitate towards that, and it's almost a time where you can feel rock music's head rearing again, and it's spherical at the minute. That's why I love it. Like, in hardcore, you've got Turnstile, and you've got Knocked Loose. In punk, you've got Amyl and the Sniffers and Lambrini Girls, and in indie, you've got like Geese and Fontaines, and like, with me, I wanted to do this like straight down the middle rock and roll thing that I like love, and the showmanship and the theater and the I don't know, man.
It's attitude
The
as well.
attitude, yeah, man. I love it, man, and the sense of fun that comes with rock shows. You never have more fun than when you're at a rock show. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well,
It's been great.
it seems like I can't believe that are these your first Grammy nominations that's coming up
Yeah.
next year? That to me is wild, and that just shows how much the wider community is starting to understand that and embrace that. I mean, best rock album for Idols, is that something that's so amazing, because this feels like the album that you are the most sort of fully formed for. Yeah.
It was wild, man. I remember we were backstage. I was going on stage at a festival in 30 minutes. So we were all crowded around on festival Wi-Fi watching it on a laptop roll in. And I think we were 5 minutes behind because my phone was pinging like, ping, 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 ping. And I'm like, whoa, this must be either good or really bad. You know what I'm saying? And I think to hear nominations for best rock album, best rock song with Zombie, and then best rock performance for Changes on a live performance. You know what I mean? It was like it was just it was wild. And I think the cool thing about the Grammys is it's voted for by your peers.
Yeah.
You know, awards are strange because we all know sometimes they're a little bit rigged and whatever, blah blah blah. But the thing about the Grammys and the Recording Academy is it's voted for by producers, musicians, and writers, and people who really kind of are in the community of what we do. And I was shocked. I was like, whoa, wow, like that's cool. That's crazy. You know what I mean?
But it's well deserved.
That's it. And I don't think any of us were shocked when we, heard the music coming out of Idols, because it just felt so instantly connective and so you. And I think, I know I keep going back to the start and all that shit, but like hearing Hello Heaven Hello was like the feeling of hearing I Love You, Will You Marry Me for the first time. It was the exact same thing. It was like, this is the Dom that I know and love, and you're allowed to go and explore all the other stuff, and we've loved everything else, but then you come back to what is truly you. That is artistry at its core, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just this effervescent thing that there's this emotional depth. Like you know what I'm saying, I am wrapped in eyeliner and spikes and hair and leather and crazy stuff, but ultimately I love so much. I love life and I love people and I love connection, and I love it when people find a reason to be here and find a reason to connect. Everyone deserves to feel loved and to belong somewhere, and that's what ultimately the community of Youngblood it is about. But when it's reflected in the music, when it's got, I don't know what it is, it's just got that thing. When you hear Love You, Will You Marry Me, or Polygraph Eyes, or Hello Heaven, or Zombie, or Mars, or a song like that, that is like Youngblood at its core. And I think like some of the albums, there's been 2 songs on those albums that have that, but Idols was like start to finish all that in the same way that 21st Century Liability was. You know what I mean? It's all like neat whiskey. None of it was diluted. None of it was trying to be something different. It was just like, if you want a burger, have a burger. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like, I remember when, was it Hello Heaven, Nick, when it came out and they were like, oh, you've got to play like the shorter version. Nick was like, that, man. He's like, we're playing the whole 9 minutes on this show. And we did. We threw out the rule book. We were like, because what do you cut out from it? Like, we don't want to play anything shorter than what it is. It's how it's intended.
Hilarious. When I first came and played my record company, that they were green. Everyone went green. You know what I mean? They were like, "What do you mean? Like we're gonna do an edited version, or we're gonna put it out in 3 parts?" I was like, "No, we're not." I was like, because now I was like, it's more than ever. I think what's beautiful about kind of the internet and TikTok and Instagram is there's this democracy to music again. That it's like, obviously there's a load of rubbish that we've got to sift through and memes and etc., but it's always been that way. But there's also some fundamental truth that there's no rules anymore. That's why I'm loving watching like Geesa's rise at the minute, because like there are such like there wouldn't get a word in edgeways in a corporate room, but they don't have to, because it's all about truth, authenticity, realism when it comes to the mobile phone. You know what I'm saying? We dictate what we like, and the people and the subculture, and it's dope, you know?
What I love about this conversation, Dom, is that you are continually looking to the now and to the future as well. And you've shouted out some amazing groups that are coming up in, almost the next generation. They're still your generation, but you have now been doing this for a decade, and there's this whole new kind of wave coming through, and it's just going to get stronger and stronger with people like you at the core. I adore you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, and we can't wait to see you.
I love you guys too, man.
We love you.
I can't wait to have a beer with you, man, when I'm back. It's going to be epic,
It's
man.
so
Absolutely.
on.